ceremony at Mogadishu airport as African Union peacekeeping forces bade a sad farewell to four of their brothers in arms.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the program Top Stories on Equinox Television. The Minister of Finance is taking new measures to suppress some benefits civil servants used to enjoy. Alamin Usman May, in a circular which has simply been reawakened, says per diems have so far been suspended. And then in Cameroon, it is hosting some Americans who say they have traced their origins to Cameroon. Welcome to join us in this edition. In the first part, we're receiving the Americans who trace their origins to Cameroon, and then in part 2 of the program, our guest will be Dr. Samuel Fonkam-Azu and the publisher Bumako. Welcome to join us in this edition. Welcome again. As we told you in this edition of Top Stories, we're receiving two gentlewomen. The first is Dr. Lisa Aubrey. Welcome, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you.
You are one of the...
I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to receive you. You're one of the Americans who trace their ancestral origins to Cameroon.
Yes.
How do you feel like being a Cameroonian?
Oh, incredible, wonderful, over the top with joy. And I would like to stay. I don't want to go back.
Nostalgia. You want to remain?
Yes.
It's
nostalgia and more is the possibilities of what we can do together from this point.
I'm also privileged to receive Ruth Ermine Asangi. Welcome, Ruth.
Hi.
You are a very close collaborator to the Americans who trace their origins to Cameroon. Yeah. How have they been since you've been receiving them?
Well, things happen as we thought they would happen. It was a very great moment. We spent a very great moment together.
Where you spend great moment? What did you do with them? Where have you been to? What are you doing?
Well, I'm a photographer. I went with them all over the way, everywhere the way. I picked up photos. I helped them. I tried to answer for their question that they were asking for. And then we spent a very great moment.
Which are some of the issues they raised, the questions which they wanted to have precise answers?
Well, someone were asking if how Fulani people, how Douala people, and how Cameroon is, how what we eat, how many things.
We're going to come back to all that. Time for us to look at what happened in Cameroon. It was the week in brief. It is rather the week in brief, a package compiled by Info Edwin Tamfu.
The senior divisional officer for FACO instructed the officials of the Boya Rural Council to decide on a day for the holding of the Moya market. Bonabenga Francois' order came during a crisis meeting in the wake of disagreement as to the day for the holding of the Moya market. It will be recalled that the chief of Upper Moya, David Mollinger, and his council of elders had decided to change the Moya market day from Sunday to Monday. Their claim was that they wanted that people should go to church and worship God on Sunday and not to come to the market. The DO of Boya, Abraham Shechem, cancelled the decision, leaving traders in a state of confusion as to whether to come to the market on Sunday or on Monday. The Kumba City Council embarked on a demolition exercise of makeshift structures in the Mehmet Divisional Headquarters. According to the government delegate Victor Ngonkele, the move is intended to change the face of the town, which has been cited as one of the dirtiest in the southwest region. He equally said that earlier warnings for roadside pavement occupants to quit had fallen on deaf ears, and it is time to take action. Over 90,000 voters all over the nation were expected to have cast their votes for elections into the General Assembly of the Chamber of Commerce. The elections of the body saw the presentation of just one list, that of incumbent Christophe Ekeng. He will be declared victorious only if he receives 50% of the total number of votes. Sports and Physical Education Minister undertook a tour of some parts of the nation to evaluate the works on some sports infrastructures in the country. From Douala, Adum Garam moved to Bafoussam through Limbe. At this stop, the sports boss listened to the contractors and promised to do all in his power for the works to be completed within the stated deadline.
Welcome to join us again after those news briefs. Edmin, you watch with me in summary what happened in Cameroon within the last week or the week about ending. What caught your attention?
Well, I think many things move around Cameroon, and in every region we have a particular thing, and this is Cameroon.
Yes. What we saw, the destruction of houses in Kumba, it used to happen in Douala.
Yes, it used to happen in Douala. Even close to Douala, I've seen people house destroyed, and I don't know what's going on exactly, because sometimes they told people don't to build everywhere, and they did. I don't know. Maybe they are paying for that, or maybe the government is a part of the problem. I don't know.
Now, Dr. Lisa Aubrey, you
Yes.
watch Cameroon in summary. You are still tracing, or you've traced your origins to Cameroon.
Yes.
When you watch those images, what kind of bell do they ring in your ear?
Well, first they tell me something about the development challenges in the country that exist. They also show me that citizens and civil society are very active in attempting to address the issues. I also see the preparation for the elections to the General Assembly, and I noticed that that persons could be elected by a simple majority vote. And in terms of the democratization process, that rings a bell with me. It also shows me that what is happening on the ground is very, very dynamic. It makes me more excited to be here. And it also tells me that many of the questions that Cameroonian Americans are asking are very fitting for what is on the ground. There are people among the group that are school teachers, there are engineers, there are medical doctors, there are biological scientists, there are researchers, there are many of us.
All walks of life.
Absolutely.
Now coming back to your stay in Cameroon, Dr.
Yes.
Lisa Aubrey, this issue of tracing your ancestral origin,
Yes.
how did it come about, the whole idea?
Well, as I have indicated before, I mean, those that are dispersed in the diaspora have for centuries longed to know where we come from. We're not immigrants to the countries in which we live. We were taken to those places against our will, and we are living in countries not of our choosing. And not a day goes by where you are not reminded in some way that you are not a first-class citizen there, that you belong someplace else. So that question of where we come from and that longing to connect to home, yes, has always been there. And we have tried in many different ways to come back home. I mean,
and you're back home finally?
Yes.
You went to Bimbia, one of the places you visited. You had some facts and figures on the movement of slaves from Cameroon to the West.
Yes.
Could we have them? And how does it impact our society nowadays?
Yes. Well, I think we have to back up a bit, because it's not the movement of slaves. It's the movement of enslaved people outside of Africa to the so-called New World, when we talk about the Atlantic slave trade. So it's a very important conceptual distinction to make, that Africans were enslaved by Europeans in order to serve as slaves in the countries to which we were taken. And Bimbia is a place that, through my research, along with 7 undergraduate students who assist me, we were able to locate in our very deep digging in the archives.
Yes.
As Ruth indicated earlier, we were reading everything we could about Cameroon. There's not a lot about Cameroon and the slave trade, and I came across the name Bimbia, and from the context of the reading, I said, this is important, this is very important.
And you decided to come back to get first-hand information?
Well, actually, that's not exactly how it happened. I shared the information with the persons organizing the first ancestry reconnection trip.
Yes.
And I asked them about Bimbia. They said they had never heard of it, and I insisted that I believed that there was something there. And because of their trust in me, they sent someone to Bimbia to ask the elders whether or not it was a site for slave trade.
And you came, and you saw. Now, back to Hermine, do you really accept Lisa Aubrey as a Cameroonian?
Yes.
What makes you think so?
Oh, what makes me think so? She's a very kind person.
Yes.
You know, Cameroonians are very kind. She's gentle. She has this love of mother. We have been together for a short time, but it's like if we were together before.
So you're comfortable accepting them as
very comfortable accepting
Cameroonians
yes.
Americans who are Cameroonians, and trace their origins to Cameroon?
Definitely.
Now, during the stay of Lisa Aubrey and many of her close collaborators, an event was organized here in the economic capital Douala, and it was spearheaded by a Cameroonian researcher and renowned author. He is Professor Kumandumbe. The event was to grace the presence of this Cameroonian through the Foundation Emond Avenue. This report highlights some of the issues which transpired during that ceremony.
It is the melody that comes from a heart of one who is happy to return to the land of our ancestors. Like Regina Ribeiro from Brazil, Lisa Aubrey and Chelsea White stayed back in Cameroon after their African-American brothers returned 2 weeks back.
I was born in the diaspora.
Professor Lisa Aubrey, researcher on ancestry reconnection, explains the process through which many got to know they are from this side of the globe.
For your identity, if you have that longing to know where you are from, if you have that longing to connect with your family, if you don't have that, then I don't think that money can fill that void. There's a spiritual component to all of this.
Ever since before the advent of DNA that has helped to identify hundreds of Americans with African descent, African Americans had been dealing with their brothers on this side in different spheres.
If we look at Trinidad, there's Henry Sylvester Williams, who really coined the concept of Pan-Africanism, and there was no DNA test available. There's something inside of you, in your DNA, that you know that you are African. I mean,
for a number of them, it is not the first time setting foot on the land of their forefathers, but the desire to know more has kept them back till date.
Since I came this far, I'm going to stay as long as it takes to take in everything that I want to take in about Cameroon.
Now, Lisa Aubrey, you watched the
Yes.
report about the ceremony organized by Afrique Avenue. Afrique
Yes.
Avenue. Now, people are thinking that most of you who come to Cameroon claiming you trace your ancestral origin to this country
yes.
might either be spies from maybe America or some people who are well-to-do and just want to show off. What did you tell them?
Well, one, I would counter those assumptions about us, and they are very generalized, and I would invite them to get to know us. At the same time, I wouldn't be so upset because I understand that they would have some concerns. And if you read the history, you read people like Maya Angelou, who lived in Ghana. You read Professor Ronald Walters, and who recounts a conversation with Kingsley Hayford in Ghana, where you find in the 60s, when Nkrumah invited African Americans back home, there was a segment of the population that was a little bit leery. Say, well, we don't know if we can trust them so much. Maybe they're more American than they are African.
They might want to ask what Cameroon stands to benefit.
Yes, and I understand. And we are not so arrogant coming back to think that the entree will be the red carpet. I mean, we understand that Cameroon does not think with one mind, and I mean, we expect there to be a diversity of opinions. So, you know, get to know us, and I think that we must demystify the notion that we are all well-to-do people coming back to Africa. That, in fact, is not the case, and I think. As we are learning about Cameroon, I would encourage them to learn about African Americans, African Brazilians, because we face the same underdevelopment challenges that many people on the continent face. I mean, and just like in this society, there are many people who are well-to-do, many more people who are not so well-to-do. It's the same in our communities as well.
So you accept the divergent views about...
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We don't come expecting anything different.
To welcome you.
Yes, just like all the African Americans, all African Brazilians are not necessarily interested in tracing their roots, because we also have a multiplicity of ideas, of longings. I mean, so we understand that. But to everybody watching, get to know us. Get to know us.
You belong finally.
Yes.
Now, Ermin, she finally, Dr. Lisa Aubrey is now Muni. That's the name I was made to understand she is called. The name was conferred on her after she's a daughter of a prince or the king of Bimbia. Does that, in your opinion, make her a full Cameroonian? Do you think, from what she explains, we should accept them totally, like being part of us?
I think Lisa has been a full Cameroonian before coming here, because she went all over Africa. She lived among 3 here by countries, and I think it's just like a reconnection.
She's fully reconnected.
Yes, she's fully reconnected. And let me tell you something. you asked today for how they look like. When they came, and we were very excited to see how they were looking like, and I saw a family who has our faces. They look like some our Bamileke family. And when they went on presentation, they present the way introduced themselves. They said they were Bamileke, and I said, "Wow, that is our sister."
So Lisa, you are from. Finally, you are from the southwest. You trace your origin up to. I hear you call Muni.
Yes.
Muni. Now, some few words.
Muni, Mbembe,
Yes.
Mukaka,
Yes.
Mwabile, Losenge.
So those are. Did you just learn that during your stay here, or?
Well, the whole process of reconnecting is learning over time. So I've been learning since we embarked on this research, and but it's been calling me from very deep inside of me for a very long time. And talking to a dear brother and friend today, he said something that I always say, and it just rings so profound. We are becoming who we already are.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Very
We
well.
are becoming who we already are. And I'm in the process of doing that, just like many of us.
I want to thank you sincerely for being part of Top
You're
Stories,
welcome.
Lisa Aubrey,
You're
and
welcome.
we wish you a happy stay in Cameroon.
Thank you.
As you fully recognize.
Thank you.
Edmund, thank you too for coming.
Yes, thank you too.
You're still on Top Stories on Equinox Television. Stay with us.